Welcome back to the chatter. Our next topic with Connie is one that we've never thought about. We'll let you set the stage, Connie.
Oh, you bet. I've just had so many women talking to me about this big wave and influx of returning missionaries who are serving for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And these families are just as discombobulated as the missionaries, thinking, what do we do now? We were thinking, we had this expectation that this was going to be their mission, their experience. And now it's been cut short, or they're having troubles getting home and they're finally coming home, but they're coming home to quarantine and a lack of jobs. And if they're being released, then they're like, well, schools admissions are often stalled. And so like one missionary I interviewed, I talked to, he said, we're coming back to less than normal. So it's not even hard enough when you come home to normal, but it's less than normal. So the families and the missionaries are both trying to figure out coping skills. And that's what I wanted to address, is how to help that.
Can I ask you, did you have a missionary
I do.
had to come home early? Okay.
She's not home, but she's in France. I do have a missionary and she's in France, but she's
Oh,
staying put. She's one of the few. I understand there's been over 34,000 that have come home and there's about 30,000 that are still out. And so
wow.
mainly in Europe East, if I have that correct, but that's my understanding. And it was Taiwan for a bit, but now the Taiwan missionaries are coming home. So there's an agility that needs to be there between families and missionaries, and an ability to be have that neuroplasticity, that ability to go with the flow and just have your agile sea legs to be able to say, that's okay. What's coming, that's okay. And that's, I think, a skill, that a mindset that we need to shift to. But before we can shift to that, I think the first thing is we have to acknowledge the loss. I did a webinar, a free webinar, and the women are welcome to have that. If you want the replay, it's at hello@conniesokol.com, or you can just go to conniesokol.com and it's up in the little corner. You can just click on it. It's a free hour webinar, and I go in depth to all of these things that are good tips. But I have, my guest is Dr. Trish Barris. She's assistant professor at U of U. She owns the Imperious Addiction Recovery Center. She does depression, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she gave great tips. And we talked about this, that this loss of anticipation and expectation of how their life was going to go, this grief, this, this all, it kind of two extremes of, some kids are coming home, they've been in quarantine for 4 or 5 weeks and they're super happy to be home and done. They just done, right? But they've come home to quarantine. And others on the other end are just sad, they're mad, they're frustrated. I was doing so great. What happened? This is not my fault. And I think it's good to go back to this assurance, this acknowledgement of the loss, and then go back to the assurance. David A. Bednar has said in a beautiful talk, Called to Serve. I invite everyone to read it that is struggling with this at all. But he says, you're called to serve, not to a location. So have that assurance that in the church, that's that belief, it's a prophet of God that they're called by. So if a prophet of God calls you to go on a mission, he's called you to come home. You're good. Everything in between means that was what you were to fulfill. And whatever comes on from there and you decide will be that adjunct to the pieces of your mission. So there's nothing that's been missed. This is all part of the package deal. And I think we need to wrap our minds around that. I think it's hard for the parents and the siblings to know how to be encouraging. Do you encourage them to stay? Do you encourage them to go? Do you encourage them to start getting back into life and do school? And what do you do? And moms have been asking me this, and I have said, this is the missionary's path. It is their choice. So we as a family, we can encourage, invite, we can persuade, we can support, we can love and nurture. But at the end of the day, it is this missionary's choice. It is their life, and they will be the ones that will bear that, whatever that is. If it's a burden or a blessing, they will bear that for themselves. So we can be the ones that can give them confidence. We can go to them and say, you know what? If you want to talk options, I'm right here. And I have thoughts on that if you want to hear it. But guess what? I have so much confidence in you. You've been living on your own essentially for months, for however long. I know that you can get your answer for this. And I know you can feel peace about it. And that's what we're all praying for. And that's what we're encouraging you to find. So does that make sense? That it's different than us feeling that we've got to fix this. That's not our job. It's encouraging and supporting them to find their way.
And I think everyone is kind of on a different page coming home. I talked to one mom with her son coming home, and she was so excited. I'm like, are you just loving? And is he loving being home? And she goes, no, he's devastated to be home. Like, he didn't realize anything big was going on there. And then he comes home and sees us in this quarantine habit, and he's just like out of his loop and his realm. Other ones are like dying to come home and wanting to be here with their family during this time. So I think what you're saying is so true, that it is the missionary's path, maybe, and we're taking it, maybe it does affect us
Oh, yes.
personally,
Yes.
but it is still their journey and their mission,
And I think
right?
being candid about that. And one missionary I talked to, he said, I said, is there something you wish that your family knew? And he said, I wish they would know that if I'm having a bad day or if I have an emotion that goes through me, it's not them. It's not personal. I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was so wise because we're all going to be hyper vigilant to how are they doing? Are they okay? And being able to just be candid with each other. You know what? On a scale of 1 to 10, and scale of 1 to 10 is awesome. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like at a 5 right now. I'm having a wave. We call it waves in our house. Well, I'm having a wave and it's going to wash over, but I just need to go some time myself or whatever. And I think it's great if we can have that kind of candid conversation with each other. And for those, like you said, there's different situations. There are missionaries still out there, about 30,000, like mine. And their situation is different where they're like, I'm quarantined and I still have a calling to serve and share a message, right? And my daughter, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking and we talked for a couple of hours, brainstorming ideas. I said, well, find out what your companion's talents are and yours are, and then how can you use those talents to share your message differently? We called it teach outside the box. And she found different ways to do hyperlapse art to share her message. Another missionary that I talked to, Riley, he was just got back from Japan. He's early release. He only had a couple months left. And I said, is there any suggestions you would give? And he said, yeah. He said, in Japan, and I served in Japan years, many moons ago. And he said, it's so hard there. If they want to hear about something, their work schedule is insane. So to drive to a church, listen to a message, and then drive and go on a train back is crazy. But he said, we started going, well, can you do a 10-minute Skype? Because they're quarantined. And they're like, yeah. So he said, if I was to go back out, I would do a 10-minute Skype. So look at the beauty of the way things are shifting, the way we're looking at being able to share a heartfelt message in a genuine, authentic way that is natural to us. Wow. How beautiful is that? So wonderful things can come of this. And I think as families, we can encourage whatever situation our missionaries are in, whether they're still out, whether they're home in their quarantine, whether they're early release, or they're deciding if they're going to go out. Know that all of it is good. It's all part of the package deal. And there's nothing in there that says that they have done something wrong or that they haven't fully served. Not at all. In fact, if anything, Dave, what's his name? Weidman, I think, from the MTC, the Missionary Training Center, said these missionaries, the ones coming home, this experience will impact them positively for decades. And the ones that are out are going to do incredible things because of what's coming. So it's a win-win. We just have to see it through that lens.
Wow. Wow. Well, I certainly don't have a missionary out. That's years away, but and that one of the nuggets to take from this, Connie, is the waves, and I think that can affect whether you're a missionary, whether you're a missionary mom, whether you're just the support system, or just Natasha or whomever. I think it's fair that everybody has kind of those waves, and I'm just today's a 5. I'm not having a great day. Like it's a little overwhelming sometimes, and sometimes you can feel really positive about it. We went out, we did service today, and I think that's very normal for anybody, and just trying to support that, all encompassing.
And
So great,
to
so
support
great.
like anyone, like whatever their decision is or whatever their missionary happens to be doing, don't pass judgment or don't put your 2 cents. Just appreciate their journey and just support them in whatever is going on.
Absolutely.
Bingo. And that is the bottom line. One mom on the webinar, she posted, she said, I'm so disappointed he doesn't want to go back out. And I said, go talk to a friend. Go talk to a therapist. Do not say this to your child because it's not our deal. We are there to support what they feel is best for them, no matter how it might be for us. And again, that candor, you know what? I trust you. I trust you. And even if inside you don't, you're like, you're young and you're being idiotic. You don't know, right? Just talk to a friend about that. Go for a walk. But this is a beautiful moment as families to come together and to be autonomous with each other and say, you know what? That's your path. And I'm so excited to support you in that. And we love you. Love, love, love. At the end of the day, just does it lead to love? That's what we can focus on.
You're the best, Connie. Thank you so
Amen.
much.
Thanks
Virtual
for inviting
hug.
me. It was so fun.
All right. See you next time that you come back to the chatter. There's more studio chatter coming right up.